So I just finished playing The Last of Us 2 for the first time on the PC port. And in short, what an amazing game and horrible ending that game was. And just as a disclaimer, this video is going to have major spoilers throughout the whole thing, as these are just my thoughts and opinions going through the game. I was very late to all the Last of Us stuff. And when The Last of Us 2 came out, I heard everything about the game people were saying. Never played it myself. The only things I did see was obviously the Joel dying scene, and I saw the ending. So I knew, the controversy, but never did I know that. I didn't know anything about the middle of the game. Like, I know the beginning and I know the end, but I didn't know anything in between. Little did I know how interesting this game will be from the story of Ellie and Abby. Because if you didn't know, Joel dies very early in the game, right? So this becomes a revenge story of Ellie and Abby. And that's a very interesting concept. Revenge stories are not new. But going about the story, you don't play a lot as Joel. So I was just confused. How are they going to make a great story in between? And they happen to do that. You play like half the game as Ellie, half the game as Abby. They both have their different, play styles. Ellie is more of has a more stealthy approach, and she uses her tools. She has the Molotov, she has the bow, she has the sniper, right? Compared to Abby, who's more of like a melee. She's more like, what does she use? She has like the flamethrower. She has a crossbow instead of a bow, right? She has a double barrel shotgun. She's very strong. And it's like, playing through them, I know people talked about Abby and how they didn't want to play her and stuff, but when I played through Abby, I'm gonna start with Abby first. When I played through Abby, I was so shocked about her level design that they made for her is off the chart. Like, I didn't enjoy her tools so much, but playing her as a character, the level design, the story behind her dealing with the Seraphites and working with Yara and Lev and all that was just like next level. Like, she was such a fun character. Going through her story, even with all the crap people say about her, was just like very interesting. My part I didn't like about her though is obviously like how you have to play as her in order to fight Ellie, which is so weird. And obviously we'll talk more later, the ending is just so horribly done. This is my major gripe with this game, playing through it. Then there's Ellie, who obviously Ellie is like, she's a GOAT, fan favorite. Her side of the story is like typical Last of Us compared to Abby, which Abby I forgot to add that her level design is like more like horror based. She has more horror levels. They're very scary or very dark, right? And it's generally like very difficult. And she takes on the Rat King. So there's that. Then with Ellie, she's more like stealthy approach. I really liked her tools. Like in terms of her weapons, she had the sniper, she had the bow, she had the Molotov, which is my favorite in the game. She has a smoke bomb, right? Like that. I could use those tools all day, but I didn't like her level design compared to Abby's. But if you were to just look at her level design in a bubble, she has a pretty good level design. Just typical Last of Us. She had to crawl around, deal with those little hounds, the little dogs chasing after her. Very stealthy because she deals with more enemies and packs and more of the wolves. And she's like, you have to be really good with your stealth when you play her. It was really fun as Ellie and Abby individually, but like The Last of Us 2 just felt like, I don't know, it felt like two separate games. Like, it didn't feel like The Last of Us Part 2. It just felt like, The Last of Us Ellie and The Last of Us Abby. And then they had like an epilogue, right? Because if it were me, I would have just had one chapter as Ellie, one chapter as Abby, one chapter as Ellie, one chapter as Abby. And you just alternate, because then you feel too disconnected with the other character, because you play like 8 hours of Ellie and then you play 8 hours of Abby, right? Just out of nowhere. It just felt like I was playing two separate games. It didn't feel like I was playing something like together. What else there is to talk about? There is we did this, talked about the story. The story is, we talked about Ellie and Abby. Talked about the story as a whole was really, I didn't really have problems with it. I know I hear a lot of people talk about, oh, they're mad that Joel died. I think that's just a good plot point. Obviously, Joel's gonna die someday. Some games, there's a way to do it though. I feel like they killed Joel too early. He should have died at least halfway in the game, or if not, if it was me, I would have just done it closer to the end of the game, right? Because you see like other games, other shows, video games, movies where they kill off main characters, like Lee from The Walking Dead. They kill them at the end of the episode. Like, you don't kill them like the first 2 hours of the game. So that really caught me off guard, but it's whatever. Like, you could have just let that slide. But then the fact that now he died early on. Ellie lost Tommy, and what's the Asian guy again? I believe his name was Jesse. If Ellie lost those people and she lost a finger, she gotta get the kill on Abby at the end of the game. That just didn't make any sense to me. But the story as a whole, you start with Ellie, and then she's looking for Abby the whole time. She goes out to find Tommy. Goes first, so she has to find Tommy, but she's really going after Abby. And then they get to the theater, and then you got the wolves, you got the infected. Right, that was a nice storyline for Ellie, but Abby's story is just like so perfect, but it's kind of like what's the word, like sour and sweet. It's just like we don't really know Abby like that, but her story is so well done. Like, you have Abby, she's going to look for Ellie, then she meets up with Yara and Lev with the Seraphites, and then she kind of turns on her wolves and Owen and all that, and then she's kind of just like an outsider now. And then towards the end of the game, both Ellie and Abby deal with I think they call the Racklers or Racketeers. I forgot their name, at the island. And then they both get taken in. It was just like really interesting, the cat and mouse chase going on. I would have changed a lot though. Level design and gameplay is the main reason I would buy this game. Like, I bought it to try it out because I love me zombies. I love me The Last of Us. Last of Us 1 is amazing. Gameplay alone carried me through the entire game. There were some down parts when I got close to the end. I would just like skipping through the cutscenes, like just get me through this, because like why would I I don't know my playtime exactly. I would have to check. I know it was like a 20-hour game, but I checked my Steam. I've had this game open for a while. I played the no return mode, so I have like 35, almost 40 hours on Steam. If you were to buy this game, you buy it for the gameplay mainly. The gameplay, some of the best gameplay. I played the first 3/4 of the game on survival mode, because survival mode, I wanted to give myself a little bit of a challenge, and I played survival mode. It was like perfect. It was so hard, but they give you just enough materials just to survive. It makes it feel like a survival game or a stealth game. It didn't feel like just a regular action game that you pick up and shoot. I would just, like the Ellie sections, I had to go through them. It took me like one mission. I still remember, with the grass, the wolves, there was multiple houses. It was when I first got to Seattle. I think it was Seattle. And I was playing as Ellie going against the wolves. It was like I spent like almost a whole day in that one level. It was so good. And I was doing that for most of my, like, I was spending lots of time on each individual level, each individual encounter, just to figure it out. It's like a puzzle. But I got to a point where I was playing as Abby, and I got to, I believe it was the Seraphites. On survival difficulty, playing as Abby against the Seraphites was the hardest thing I've ever did. Like, I play a lot of Elden Ring, I play a lot of Dark Souls games. Those are so easy compared to what I was dealing with. Those Seraphites on survival mode will sneak behind you while you're sneaking and try to like stealth kill you. Like, it was scary. I'm playing as Abby. I see a Seraphite all the way up there, second floor. I was gonna sneak my way around. I was gonna go through the left side and climb over the pillar, and then this guy whistles all the way across the room. So I'm like, okay, I'm clear. And then this one little Seraphite, I hear some footsteps. I turn around and he's right there behind me, about to kill me with he had like an assault rifle. I don't know why he got next to me, but like it was so scary. And from that point, I lowered the difficulty to like just hard instead of survivor, because there was no way I could do that. Those Seraphites are so hard as an enemy. They're like literally crouch walking, they're stealth. You know, they're sneakily going around, and there's just like no way that I could do that. Besides that, like the rest of the game of survival mode is like next level. I didn't use listen mode at all. I would recommend that you do the same if you're watching this. I'm looking to make sure, hopefully I put some pictures around here of some of the gameplay or whatever I'm talking about while I'm doing this, so you guys have it. Overall though, Last of Us 2 was a really solid game. Is it better than the first game? Definitely not. Is it as good as they say? Definitely not. Is it as bad as they say? Definitely not. But it's definitely underrated. I feel like it got a lot more hate than it should have. This is like, if you pick it up and play it as a video game, it's so fun. Story from the in-between portions, like not the prologue, not the ending, just all the in-between is just so good. It's so good. And the individual storylines of Ellie, you know, chasing Tommy, or Abby working with the Seraphites and then turning on the wolves, like that individual storyline stuff is so good. And then, you know, especially the one scene with Abby where you have to go all the way into the hospital, that was like one of the best missions in that game. Ellie, they didn't do her level design like she just had a typical Last of Us level design. It's not like she really it felt like they put more effort into Abby than Ellie, like for the levels. Ellie was just fun to pick up and just, you know, mess around. I would say though, with Ellie, the ending of the game, the last area with the, I think it's called the island. They have I lowered the difficulty to hard, but they have so many. I forget what they're called. It starts with an R. The last group you deal with, the Racketeers or the Wrecklers or something like that. Those people, there is so many of them, because I was getting to a point. There's so many in that area that you cannot run through it, because I was getting towards the end of the game. You know, that's the problem with The Last of Us 2, is that it tends to run a bit towards the end, and I was really starting to feel like a little bit of impatientness and like boredness. So I started speeding through, you know, because they started doing like the farm, and then you had the baby, and there's a lot of flashbacks in the aquarium, and it's just like move the story along. So I was getting impatient. I wanted to start running through and finish the game, but I tried running through all those guys on the island. I actually couldn't run through it. Like I had to sit down and kill a few, because there was like 7 or 8 guys, and then I run out of ammo, and it's only on hard difficulty, so it was just like way too many. I am gonna go back and try to 100% it. I collected most of the collectibles toward the second half of the game. I have to go back and get from the first half. I gotta replay the game though, just to get my full upgrades, because I like getting 100% of most of my games, or at least trying to get. This is one of the first videos I'm doing like this, so I guess you let me know if you like how this goes. If you want to see more of this, you let me know. And thank you for watching. I'm Brian, and I'm out.